The price of video games has always been a tricky topic, namely because the price of video games has been locked in at $60 for so long that when we finally saw the jump to $70, we really didn't feel the jump in quality, maybe except for a handful of games. But if you guys have not seen the news, Sony is reportedly considering selling Spider-Man 3 at $150 or in 3 parts at $50 each, like part 1, part 2 for the story, and then a part 3 for a multiplayer aspect. And so that's going to be the thesis of today's video. I'm going to give you guys my dev's perspective on the state of game development, the impact that AI actually might help on this factor, but also what's also going on in the market. This isn't happening in isolation, and economics teaches us that, well, as long as there's competition, that's going to be something I think will be interesting to see in the long run. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. Would you be willing to pay $150 for Spider-Man 3? Or if not Spider-Man 3, what game in your wildest imagination could justify that? In an age where free-to-play microtransaction BS has just flooded the market, I've continued to be impressed that we actually get AAA high quality games, but something's gotta give. There's gotta be something within this economy of scale that has to change, and that's what we're going to explore in today's video. So hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Brian. If you happen to be new, thank you guys so much for the 200 likes on the last video. Obviously that in and of itself is a tricky and touchy subject, so I appreciate you guys checking it out. I still have my ongoing giveaway right now for Amazon gift card. Just be sure to check out the Light No Fire video for information on how you can do that, and we'll be doing some new giveaways and even some notification squad comments in future videos. So be sure to keep it locked to the channel if you guys like video game content and more. As the TLDR, the news is $150 for Sony's Spider-Man 3. Now, I have a couple thoughts here. Is that personally, I don't get emotionally invested in the price of a video game because if it is too high, I just go play something else. That's the beauty of choice as gamers. However, I have continued to see as a content creator many people who are upset by the $70 price point because the games don't feel like they've hit that level of quality. And so what you end up seeing, and at least what I end up seeing as my strategy, is always kind of look at a game and try to determine its value. Like, what is the true value of this game? Because the initial cost, the initial offering, if we just put Nintendo to the side for now, outside of Nintendo, it's a hype tax. The game price that is launched is a hype tax. And generally speaking, games rush down into a $40 to a $20 price point. And that's just how the economics of all this work. And it really comes down into this concept of volume, break-even sales, and more. And Spider-Man 3, as just the thesis of today's subject, is budgeted, estimated at $380 million. And it's impressive that Sony is willing to invest that level into that kind of game. But you also got to remember that, licensing fees, they're not getting every dollar of that product back. Every sale, it's going to be roughly like 20%-ish that's going to go back to Marvel for those games. But we do know they sell. They definitely are moving units, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, I want to talk about AI because AI is a very big topic in 2023. And I talked with David Jaffe about this, as his thoughts on AI. I'm currently working on making a video game as well, but we'll be sharing more about that information down the road as soon as we get some more proof of concept. It's in pre-production. So anyway, if you guys are interested, just be sure to keep it locked to the channel. I will be talking more about that in 2024. But the idea of AI and having this have an impact, there's a couple different variations of AI. The first area I see actually having the biggest impact within game development is testing. AI generated players, which then simulate what the current physical world testers do. My concern here comes down into testers usually are doing testing because they have a passion for games and they want to break into the industry, and so they spend that time to test the game. And if we end up replacing them, we might end up replacing an onboarding of different testers. However, I do think that that's, any concern I have, the market will respond. And I'm sure there's going to have, they'll figure out a way, because at some point, if you don't have anybody who's making the games, even AI assisted, you're just going to end up, that's a future problem that's just not going to be fun. Anyway, outside of testers, obviously art generation, sound, scenarios, scripts, things like that, all being driven. And one of the things that we've seen, and it's interesting about game development and gaming specifically, is that where Hollywood and other industries have had successful strikes, gaming is completely opposite. If you make a good game, generally speaking, the vast majority of gamers don't care. You could be the worst person on the planet, and you make a good game, the good game protects that aspect. And gaming culture is unique in this respect, and it's in this area. It's when the game is bad that all of a sudden any of the issues that, or that people have, any complaints that they have with policies or culture war or, like internal illegal crap, like that's all of a sudden becomes game for talk. But it's, anyway, that's just something that's interesting to see. And so with AI coming into play, as long as the games are good, I think a lot of people are going to champion that. What I hope for, like the ideal scenario, is where AI drives down the cost and you can actually get back to smaller teams making these bigger games. One of the biggest things that I see that a lot of people don't understand about game development is that adding more resources to a project doesn't mean the project's going to be better. It means it needs to be more tightly controlled, otherwise it runs the risk of absolute catastrophe. Because just imagine, like, if you have 5 of your friends, it's easier to go figure out where you want to go to eat. But if you got 50 friends, you're going to end up having a lot more discussion, a lot more management, and a lot more like trying to move people to and from a place, and then you end up not necessarily all having a guaranteed good time. It's possible, but it takes a lot of effort, and that's why people spend big bucks for project managers and for party planners. Fun analogy, but we'll go with it. Now, that all being said, if AI helps kind of basically where you're producing more games, but with smaller teams, you can actually have a more cohesive vision. And that's something we're seeing with Light No Fire. Like, it's a 12-man team and they're doing procedural generation, and that's also a form of AI. Not the sense of AGI or what they're working towards within the economy and more. It's going to be interesting. I might find myself at some point out of a job, but time will tell when all that's said and done. I should have gone and learned another trade. I think I still have time. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that's going to be a big impact. Now, in terms of competition, kind of my final thought about all this is that you have things like Xbox and Game Pass. I think that's a real catalyst to the different, like whether you like it or not, like it is a true game changer in terms of how the economics of video games work. For me, I am planning on when I can, if the game and I'm able to get it, to a running and playable and fun state, I would love to launch my game into Game Pass. And that's going to be something that I'm talking about in the future, because I think that's going to add a lot of value to you, the Game Pass subscriber, but also to me as somebody who wants as many eyeballs to go and play the game that I'm creating. That when it's all said and done, though, you want strong competition in the market so that prices don't go insane. However, Sony either needs to increase their throughput of players to the game itself, meaning they need to open it up to, like if they're going to charge $150, this would drive value into maybe PlayStation Plus, whatever that third tier is, so that they could say, hey, it's going to launch in this tier, or you can pay $150. Like, if they give the gamer, and I could see them doing this, that option, that could be how this plays out. The other option is they have to go wider. They have to go beyond the box. And this would be something where maybe we start to see them support PC much sooner than they have been currently. And I'm really glad that they are supporting PC, and people were kind of, trying to mock the sale through number on PC. And it's like, well, the game's been out for 2 years, 3 years. I think you'll end up seeing a much broader, adoption when people can jump in on the hype and get excited about that marketing campaign that's going on, and then play on whatever platform they care about. Personally speaking, I'm interested and very interested in see what Sony does in terms of the cloud gaming perspective. I was asked today about GeForce Now, which I adore, not sponsored by in any way, but it is such a great service that yes, I could see myself not needing to buy a high-end graphics card in future gaming PCs and just move all my games to GeForce Now as soon as they do become available. That's kind of the waiting game that we see right there. The final thought here is that also I do feel like some games have already become out, you know, at $150. And a good example, or actually probably more than $150, is Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, and whatever the third part is. Who knows how many they want to stretch that into? And so what I mean by that is that if they're breaking up these games into these different chapters, they're just not putting a new number on it. Like you could almost consider the remake Final Fantasy VII, you know, R part 1, you know, and then you could see 7R-2. Like they've done that with Final Fantasy X, but obviously that wasn't a part of the plan. And Final Fantasy VII Remake is designed, you know, to be in 3 parts from the beginning. That's what they told us, and we continue to have that. And it ends up being, it's going to be interesting marketing to see, because when it's all said and done, yeah, that game's going to be freaking expensive, and I hope it works out. We'll have to explore that because I still haven't played it. As soon as I finish Final Fantasy 16, I will sit back, relax, and enjoy some Final Fantasy 7R. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining me on today's conversation and discussion. I'd love to hear your thoughts as it relates to the state of Sony and the $150. Right or wrong, like there's no wrong answers, just generally curious, because overall, I feel like, whoo, that's a bold move. Let's see if it works out for him. Because competition is going to be kind of king, and I don't personally think that Spider-Man has that draw. Like, man, who knows? Maybe I would love to be wrong, and it'll be interesting to see. But let me guys know your thoughts. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos, and check out the latest playlist for more of gaming news and discussion. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for being here. Hopefully you have a good day. Hopefully I will see you next time. But until then, take care.